Thanks, guys. Thanks. So, one of the strangest and scariest moments of growing up is that point where you realize that your parents have absolutely no idea what they're doing. Because up to a certain point, you just, as a child, you just kind of assume, yeah, they're grown-ups, they're taller than me, they've got a plan. I had that moment happen, I think, a little bit earlier than most people do. It was when I was 7 years old during a U8 soccer game. See, when I was in the second grade, my parents decided it was a good idea to try to start to get me into sports. And because this was the early 90s and because I didn't show any athletic ability in any of the real sports, that meant it was time for soccer. And because nobody else wanted to do it, my dad signed up to be the soccer coach. And I didn't connect these things together in my 7-year-old mind. I didn't understand why my dad was so hell-bent on making me play this game I didn't want to play. And I just assumed that this must have meant that he thought there was something wrong with me. And I figured that since he was the coach, he must love soccer. And he wanted me to be good at it, and I hated him for it. Years later, it would occur to me how little sense this made because my father didn't know the first thing about soccer. He never played soccer, he didn't watch soccer, he certainly didn't like soccer or any other sport for that matter. And sometimes I wonder if maybe there was a kid on our team who had some kind of innate soccer ability that went undiscovered and undeveloped because their coach was only there to make sure his son wasn't at home playing Sonic the Hedgehog and discovering himself. So my father, who knew nothing about soccer, and remember, there was no YouTube. He couldn't go and look it up, see how to coach soccer. There was no tutorial for him. So he did what generations of men who are in over their head have done. He made shit up. Now, it happened that this was around the year that The Lion King had come out. And everybody in my grade, all the kids were Lion King crazy. It was the biggest, phenomenon of our time at that point, our short period of time on that earth. And so what my dad did is he parlayed this madness into his soccer lessons. And in a testament to the power of word association, he taught each soccer maneuver with a code name that was the name of a Lion King character. So, for example, if he yelled, Mufasa, Mufasa meant that you had to kick the ball to the side. It was time to pass the ball, like Mufasa's going to pass the Pride Lands onto Simba. And Rafiki was a defensive maneuver. Rafiki meant that you had to get into defensive maneuver and get on top of the ball as soon as you could, like a baboon would, in this position. And Scar meant to kick the ball as hard as you could forward, presumably because that's how Scar kicks Mufasa off of the cliff to his death. I don't really know what my father's logic was on that one. But the thing is, this weird thing is, this worked. This worked really well. It worked so well, in fact, that during our first game, when I was playing the goalie, because when your dad is the coach, you get to play goalie, I didn't have to do a damn thing. Because the ball was always on the other side of the field. My team was good. Now, I don't really know the rules of soccer still to this day, but I know that the goalie has two buddies, two friends, that also stay on this half of the field. And they're called the guards, and I remember exactly who my guards were. On my left, there was a kid named Cecil Gregory. And in 10 years from this point, Cecil would be the one who introduced me to marijuana. And I think he knew even then that was his role in life, because you have never met a more stoner little kid. Cecil sat down, as soon as the game started, he sat down on the grass, looked at the sky, and he did not move until it was time for orange slices and Capri Suns. And to my right, there was a kid named Nathan. And I don't remember Nathan's last name, but it may have well as been Mandark or Poindexter, because I knew at that point that if all of the 90s nerd stereotypes you saw in your childhood media had gotten together and decided to make one kid their bitch, that would have been Nathan. Nathan came out of the womb asking for his inhaler. He was the kind of, oh God. All right, so it's me and it's Cecil and it's Nathan. And we're having a good old time because we're the only three people not playing soccer. And then all of a sudden, this red-headed, freckle-faced, pigtailed terror who would later become my 6th grade girlfriend. She steals the ball, and she makes a David Beckham-like charge towards us. And I'm terrified. I look at Cecil, who's trying to snort a dandelion, and I don't know what Nathan's doing, so it's all up to me. And I look at my dad, and my dad's yelling, "Rafiki! Rafiki!" And at that moment, I remember how this felt, because no matter how mad I was at my dad, no matter how much I didn't want to be there, I wanted him to be proud of me. So this was a problem, because I had never really mastered the art of blocking a ball with any part of my body other than my face. But I knew what I was going to do. So I Rafiki'd up, and I was ready to get hit in the face with that ball for my dad. But I am not the hero of this story. Because out of nowhere, with lightning reflexes, comes Nathan. And he Rafiki's hard all up on that ball. And he gets on top of it like it's a fumble, and he's going for it. Here's the thing. People are cheering, "Good job, Nathan. Way to go, Nathan." Except for me. Because Nathan took away my chance to look cool in front of my dad. But here's the thing about Nathan. Nathan had the kind of parents who didn't like to let their kids watch cartoons, only watch like educational stuff like Discovery Channel and nature programs. Shitty parents. So Nathan was the only kid on the field who had never seen The Lion King. So Nathan knew that Rafiki was a baboon. And he knew what he saw baboons do on the Discovery Channel. And that was as far as his frame of reference meant. So he thought that Rafiki means that I have to act like a baboon. And so, there's no real way to put this, but Nathan proceeds to hump the shit out of that ball. He's going full Rafiki. He's making noise as he's teabagging this ball in the middle of the field. And nobody knows what to do. The kids want him off the ball. The adults aren't going to touch him. The ref is like blowing his whistle impotently as if to say, "I am a high school junior who is trying to get volunteerism hours for my college transcript, and I do not need this bullshit." And I look at my dad, and my dad looks at me, and neither of us know what to do. And finally, my dad has to step in because he's the coach. And he goes and he picks Nathan up by his shoulders and smacks the ball away from him. And Nathan starts to cry and throw a fit, and he's carrying Nathan like he's holding a dirty diaper. This tiny, angry, horny Rick Moranis clone he's dragging back to his parents. And he looks back at me and he smiles as he's doing this, and I'm watching, and I realize 2 things about my father in that moment. Number 1, he had no fucking idea what he was doing. Not on a soccer field, not in life, nada. Number 2, I realized that no matter what, my father would always be proud of me. Because no matter how weird or socially awkward or bad at sports I was, at least his kid wasn't fucking Nathan.